Hi everyone, welcome back to Be Rich. It's me, Vinod, here with Anand, talking about something which is of great interest to you and me. We've been long bastions, and India has been a bastion, and I would say the Western world and in the US, preaching about the importance of free market and capitalism. Of course, India took a longer road to reach this point, but we have reached this point nonetheless, where we believe in the principles of free market and how government should not interfere in capital markets and allow it to work freely. And government should, of course, have some oversight and have guardrails and things in place, but by and large allow the market to function. And this is the best way to get the best return for value for investment, and also to get the best innovation and products and services for us as consumers. But recently there's been a shift happening, and it seems to be we're losing sight of this, and it's turning into muddy waters and it's rather getting foggy. To understand this better, I thought I'll have a discussion with Anand, and hopefully we'll come to some kind of an understanding on where this is all going by end of the video. Thanks for joining me on Be Rich today. So Anand, what is this murky waters which we have been
See,
thinking?
the basic principle is India has always been a mixed economy where you had some public sector owned completely by government and highly controlled private sector, which was controlled by the licensed Raj. After 91, what has happened is government has steadily withdrawn from business, and generally business has become free and licensing is reduced to minimum, and you don't have to take permissions to manufacture consumer good automobiles or things like that. And even opening and ease of doing business has been getting better and better, and even public sector units have been monopolies have been cut. They have been forced to face competition, and they have been exposed to the markets, and so public sector units are also listed, and in some form or the other, in very minor form, answerable to the public. Even the Venerable State Bank of India is now listed, and only government has 51% stake in it. And there has been a push to reduce level to 26%. Even public sectors which are not listed are now being listed. And the other side has been the Western world, which has been completely free markets, where governments have never been in business, and it is anathema for them that government should do business. When Obama in 2008 introduced TARP and bought stocks of banks and auto companies and recapitalized them and slowly sold them for a profit, there were loud shouts by saying that these companies should have been allowed to die and government should have not interfered. The general saying in America is government has no business in business.
Very true.
So you cannot have public sector companies. You have public goods, but you don't have public sector companies in America owned by the governments, except Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, where the government took over a sick company and again started to list them. And what started as nationalizing sick banks and then forced shotgun marriages of banks which went belly up like Silicon Valley Bank has now slowly under Trump morphed into something dangerous, and I am yet to see pushback from America. There are two things that have happened in the last 10 days
Hmm.
which has shaken me basically. One is you allow these companies to export chips or you don't allow them to export chips. Or you allow them to send chips and charge customs duty on them.
Hmm.
But now what Trump is telling is AMD and Nvidia are be allowed to sell certain chips in China, provided
Hmm.
the government gets 15% revenue of say 15% of revenue as share. Now I don't understand what is this nonsense. The government has not invested money. It has nothing to do with it. And why should two private listed companies which are owned by public give 15% of their revenue to the United States government for the permission to export to China? That is, if they sell $1 billion in China, 15% of it has to go to the government. First, is it tax? If you want to do something with China, then you say 15% tax. And this will not be permission for two companies. It will be for anybody who wants to export chips from America to China. And then you have forced TSMC, Taiwan company, not to do business with China.
Correct.
Now, tomorrow you will demand, which is a Taiwan based company, should give some tribute to the American government to sell to China. What is this? Is this, are we going to a colonial past where the government is selling the right to trade with a certain state for a tax, like the British East India Company had the sole right to trade with India, for which they paid some
Imperialism.
imperialism. So, is it imperialism or is it socialism or communism? Right, coming back in a reverse order, and is more imperial socialist imperialism, where you are saying anybody can pay a portion to the government and sell what they want exclusively in America. So, will Apple has to be paid a tax for selling their products across the world?
Yeah, they've been fighting this in tooth and nail all over the world, especially with India during the 90s and to the early 2000s. This was one of the bones of contention they had with India, that this unnecessary Raj regime of charging tariffs up and down and all these kinds of export tax, import tax, they said all this should be done away with. India should be embracing this kind of open market and free society the Americans are. Seems now somehow the Americans regressed and they have gone back,
No,
and
no,
we are appearing to be more.
no. Tariff is one thing. Tariff is they are cutting direct taxes and increasing indirect taxes on their people.
Correct.
But you are saying, give me a cut of turnover,
Correct.
is you are willing to become a partner in business without investing money.
Correct. But that is the
That
same.
is,
1 minute. My argument here is they always have, Republicans have said, treat companies as a entity, as an
yes,
individual.
yes.
So they're
So
only taxing an individual.
they're not taxing. If there's a tax, listen, they are asking taxes uniform policy for all companies. For two companies, you give special exemption and take share of revenue is taking profits even before you. It's imperialism. You are taking a portion of profits
I
even
agree.
before the
I agree.
without even putting money, right?
I agree.
And the markets are cheering it. So I thought that ended that. Then I saw even more stunning news that White House is saying 10% they will take stake in Intel.
Yeah.
Whether they will invest money or they have just taken it, we don't know. And they force SoftBank to invest money into Intel, right? Now, when the state invests money into a company, it will not allow it to shut down factories, which it needs to survive, because you have to protect jobs.
These are all the tenements that the Republican Party has always fought against the Democrats, because saying this is socialism, this is all this. It's very funny to see there's a complete 180 that's been happening very slowly, where now the Republican Party, which has been the party to stand for this, which have these libertarian views, has now been consumed to this point where it's got this corrupt, strange view where this is okay as long as Trump is doing it.
Yeah. Then what is the difference between you and a socialist state which does not allow private production?
Correct. But I think all this is thanks to, in part, to the long deindustrialization that's been happening in the US, where there's just been this whack-a-mole which they've been doing. It's finally come down to boiling where they're scraping at the bottom of the barrel like this.
No, no. At the end of the day, this is clearly, I don't know what they want. I don't know. They have been practicing capitalism to the world. To randomly say that a company should give 15% of its revenue to me, the state, and then I will take 10% in another company. I can understand you bail out a company, you cancel the shareholding, turn the company profitable and sell it back to the public, I can understand. But to say I'll put 10%, I will direct production, all this is going to end in disaster. It ended in disaster everywhere, and even in America, it's going to end in disaster.
Question.
And at the same time, the S&P 500 is at 29 times earnings, wildly over expensive, waiting for a balloon to. It is only because of the 7 plus AI boom. All it takes is a heated needle to hit that balloon, and the balloon will burst.
But it seems impervious, and because the way things stand right now, it looks impervious the way things stand now, at least.
That's always it looks like. Every time, like John Templeton said, this time is different.
Anyway, I hope you got some clarity from this on what is happening in the US and what, especially with Intel. A lot of you have been asking this question. What is Anand's view with Trump and Intel? What is going on with SoftBank? I hope this gave you some clarity. This is rather strange. Do feel like we're living in the twilight zone where none of this makes any sense. No one could believe that 20 years ago Americans would be like this right now. And the world will be standing where we are standing. But hey, here we are. as said, be careful if you're investing, be prudent, be checking what you're doing, and stay within your circle of competence. So, anyway, thanks for watching the video today. I hope you had a wonderful day and a wonderful evening. See you tomorrow with another small segment from me and Anand. Thanks for watching Be Rich Today. Good evening.